Okay. So to begin, could I maybe ask you to tell us a bit about yourself, please?
Um, my name is Maria Tanaskovic. I'm a circus designer and printmaker. I'm based in Dublin. How much do you want to know? I work both digitally. I work with my hands. I work with textiles. I also have a background in art education and also English language teaching. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Fantastic. And could I ask you, Maria, just in general, I suppose based on your own experiences in teaching crafts, what do you feel are very important elements in teaching kind of crafts from a
Um,
teacher perspective?
okay, from a teacher's perspective, I think I think being physically there is quite important, or giving physical demos is quite important, and showing students what they can or can't do. I think it's really important to make students aware of the materials and the different processes, and also I think it's really important not only to focus on the end product, but also to focus on the skills and the process involved. And I don't know, when I've taught, I've never really been one for, assessment, because I think it's quite difficult to assess those kinds of skills, but that could also be beneficial maybe in a more, I guess, a structured environment, or like in third level, or where there's qualifications at stake. What else? Clear instructions. And I think people are going to have this, people are going to ask the same questions again and again and again. So thinking about your language very carefully is very important. What else? That's what I can think of.
That's fantastic. No, that's perfect. Thanks so much. And could I ask, Maria, in terms of the Renouval project outputs and the kind of the online platform, could I ask, in your opinion, do you think those could be of use in teaching crafts?
I think, yes, from what I've seen so far, absolutely. I mean, even personally, I've learned a lot online myself in terms of, skills, painting, mixing colors. I think videos are massively important. But I still don't think that teaching craft online is a substitute for real life. However, maybe it could be useful if you couldn't have a physical classroom environment. Maybe you could have like live videos where the teacher was doing a demonstration, but the students were, looking in. I think it would also be really beneficial if the students were able to upload their projects onto the portal somehow. Because I think not only so like to help the teacher and to help themselves keep track of it, but I think, if you're doing projects and assessments, it gives you almost like a sense of achievement or a sense of completion once you've actually done something and uploaded it. Otherwise, it runs the risk of just like sitting in a folder under your bed and not really, I don't know, you don't really get that kind of sense of completion of a task. What else? Oh, we were talking about the QR code. You're just showing it to me, which I think something like that would be really useful maybe for either distance students or for homework, but I don't think there's any substitution for like live demonstrations or the craft teacher showing how to do something and the students, gathering around and asking questions. And, because during that live process, so many things will come up and there'll be so many questions to ask, mistakes, the teacher might even make some mistakes while they're doing the demonstration, which like, oh, don't do that, be careful when you're rolling out the ink, that's not too tacky. Or you could even get the students involved. You could get the students to, join in the demonstration. So I'm not sure if these resources are meant for purely online or a bit of both. So,
I think yeah.
obviously if something's purely online, you just have to make the most of the digital environment, don't you?
Yeah, and I think, as you said, Maria, I think mainly the QR code would be used as kind of homework, so that, as you mentioned before, you're not wasting the teacher's presence in the room. The QR code is more so as something for homework for the students to kind of take as a challenge to do after demonstration and to kind of
Yeah,
answer questions on.
yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. And could I ask you, do you have any other thoughts on the project and the kind of notion of intergenerational teaching for crafts?
Um, yeah, like I think it's a really good idea. I think there's a lot of people with a lot of skills that are, I guess, getting lost. But I'm also wondering, and this might be, I might be underestimating, you know, the older generations, but how comfortable they would be with this technology and teaching using this technology. So I was wondering, how much training do they receive? Because I'm just thinking, even like, you know, my mum, like, and her phone, or, you know, trying to, you know, and I would say she's fairly savvy with tech. Well, no, for, you know, for her age group, but that would be one thing that I would be slightly worried about, that maybe the system might be a bit difficult for the older generation, some of the older generation. I don't want to be underestimating anyone here to navigate. And I was wondering, how much training would they receive? And also I was wondering, like, in terms of so they have to design the course themselves, do they? Or is there
Yeah,
a framework?
the idea, I guess there's a structure to it in terms of, within the system, kind of they're asked to provide the challenge, instructions on the challenge. They're also asked to provide artifacts like a link to a YouTube video or so on and so forth, and to provide the questions. So that would be the general structure. And we would try to provide, I suppose, quite a bit of kind of in-person training about how to use the system. And that's something that
Yeah.
would have been done in the different kind of partner countries. But no, I think that is a really good point also in terms of, yeah, being aware that, as you said, without being ageist, that kind of potentially additional support, additional guidelines, additional information may be needed.
Yeah, and also, you know, things like, you know, recording a video, a demo video, it's actually quite, you know, because during the pandemic, some of my artist friends started teaching art online, and it took them, and these are, you know, people who will be, you know, used to technology and used to teaching, and it took them a very long time to figure out, you know, lighting. Then they had to edit, then they had to re-record and re-record. They had to have a you know, a suitable space to do it, and they had to have the right technology, laptop, camera. So it's actually quite an undertaking to record videos, but I don't think that teaching art or craft really could work without videos, personally, because I think it's, you know, really is something that you have to see. I don't think reading about it would be effective. In my opinion, I really like, or maybe that's just the way I learn, but so I feel like there would need to be probably quite a lot of training for the, you know, for the teachers to be able to make these instructional videos, because I think it is actually quite a challenging thing to do for anybody, let alone somebody who maybe has never done that before, who doesn't have you know, much knowledge of technology. And I'm not saying that none of these people will have knowledge of technology, but they're not going to be digital natives. They're not going to, probably because they do work with their hands, they probably don't work with computers a lot, because a lot of them probably hate computers.
That makes perfect sense, absolutely.
But
And
so that would be one, but that was the kind of thing that I just thought about, even, you know, from my own point of view. I literally didn't have to make any, I have actually, when I was an English teacher, I had to make some videos with, you know, the whiteboard, and it was okay, but it was still definitely more nerve-wracking for me than teaching in person. But I think that might be a challenge for the teachers switching to video from in-person teaching. But I definitely think the technology, you know, having the assignments and the course outline and all that digitally would be a great benefit.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Maria. And my final question there is simply if people would like to see more of your own work, where can they go?
I have a website, which is www.studiomaluda.com, or I've got an Instagram, which is @studiomaluda.
That's fantastic, Maria. Thank you so much for your time and for your feedback on the project.
No worries. It was a pleasure.